move on to the public forum, and the first is Extinction Rebellion Ototahi, Michael Apathy and Sarah Campbell. Lorena, welcome.
Morena. Ko Sira Tine. I'm speaking on behalf of Extinction Rebellion Ototahi, and this is Michael Party. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres described the latest IPCC report as a code red for humanity. He said, "The alarm bells are deafening, and the evidence is irrefutable. Greenhouse gas emissions from fossil fuel burning and deforestation are choking our planet and putting billions of people at risk." This is really serious. We really need to be taking this on board. We are literally choking the planet. We are depleting the earth of the oxygen that it needs to survive, that almost every living creature needs to survive. Coastal and ocean dead zones are caused by a combination of warming oceans and pollution, mainly from synthetic agricultural fertilizers. These dead zones are increasing at an alarming rate, and so is the ocean's ability to produce oxygen. Scientists estimate that 50 to 80% of our Earth's oxygen is produced by the ocean. Without climate mitigation, we simply cannot adapt our way out of this. I used to think that the top environmental problems were biodiversity loss, ecosystem collapse, and climate change, but I was wrong. The top environmental problems are selfishness, greed, and apathy. To deal with those issues, we need a spiritual and cultural transformation. And we scientists do not know how to do that. Guy Speth, the scientist. Sometimes I think ignorance would be bliss. My friends and I would have so much more free time. We'd have more time for our paid work. We'd have more time for our loved ones. It's exhausting. Ocean eutrophication, ocean acidification, climate tipping points, wet bulb temperatures, and all the elements of climate breakdown that scientists have warned us about. It's really exhausting knowing this stuff and trying to get others to listen and care. How do we get all of you to understand and advocate for this cultural transformation that we need? Because I don't believe that many of you here are getting it. If you did, if you understood, if you got it, you would understand how urgently we need to prioritize mitigation and adaptation. There is no way you would have advocated for spending ratepayers' money on an inequitable project like an extravagant and overpriced stadium. Please make better decisions. Currently, our council-owned airport is investing public money in plans to build a new international airport in Taurus. Money spent on land purchase to the many hours of staff time invested in preparing and pitching their case, mainly in private meetings. The people of Taurus have asked for 500 days for a public meeting, and it has not happened. They've put in information requests that are 500 days outstanding. It's just not fair. A new airport is completely at odds with what a low carbon future needs to look like. There are many decisions that need to be made. What does a zero carbon future look like? How will we travel in a low carbon society? And what infrastructure will we need to facilitate this? How will we make our transition fair and equitable? These are questions that you need to be answering. Currently, frequent flyers are driving up demand. An equitable low-carbon solution might be to reduce demand by restricting frequent flying. We need central, regional and local governments to be working collaboratively on a solution, and we need them to be working with experts. What we don't need is competing airports to be dictating what our future infrastructure looks like. We can't afford to get this wrong. We need you to advocate for the collaboration needed and to stop our airport company continuing with this project. As greenwashing is the new climate denial and delaying action, I ask you to call it out when you see it.
Thank you.
Well over 99% of Christchurch Airport's emissions are from the flights they enable.
Thank you. We've come to the end of your presentation time, so do you want to just quickly sum up your last point?
Sure. I'm just saying there is no such thing as a sustainable airport. Currently, CCC has a target for their companies to achieve net zero by 2030. We ask that you include the emissions that these companies enable.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Thank you. The next are the deputations by appointment, and we have Amanda Neal and Jan Burney speaking to item 11, Brooklyn's petition.
Kia ora tātou. My name is Mandy Neal. Thank you for acknowledging our petition today. Let me begin with a story in the immortal words of Charles Dickens. A tale of two cities. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. Here we are on the outskirts of our city in the best of times. The soft light of dusk sheds a rainbow of light over the magnificent Brooklands Lagoon. Here we breathe in the clearest air available in any city. We walk and cycle the tracks along the shore. We watch the birds gathering to rest in their sanctuary. We hear them call to each other in the twilight, and soon everything becomes quiet and still. The sun sets over the lagoon waters, and we marvel at the sheer delight in being there, to feel the gentle breeze, to find peace in our busy lives, and to see the wonders of nature at its best. Plants, both large and small, have taken root along the sand dunes. We know that rare plants and rare birds call this place home too. We have a deep love and regard for it all. This splendid asset in Otautaki, Christchurch, needs your aroha too, and your protection. It is a treasure for us all, and all must have the opportunity to enjoy and value its unique diversity. This is a place of particular beauty which must now become diligently safeguarded for the benefit of all. For this is also the worst of times for our city. Along its northern boundary runs one of Canterbury's biggest rivers named the Waimakariri, which means cold, bad-tempered water. Heavy rain in the city, coinciding with stormy weather in the mountains, accompanied by the full force of the Pacific Ocean pushing inland with a king tide, creates a severe risk to this environment. Evidence of the ancient pathways of the Waimakariri River still run across our city, and the Brooklands Lagoon forms a 3-kilometre wide, undefended gateway for these cold, bad-tempered waters. Brooklands and Spencerville residents have already experienced the scary taste of this water flowing into their streets and properties several times in recent years. Our reported facts and witnesses' evidence during such events are reliable. Have a look at the width of the Waimakariri outlet to the sea in this artist's impression. No wonder Christchurch people are lulled into a false sense of security. These 2020 information boards at Spencerville depict the Waimakariri outlet being as wide as the river behind it. This is not true. The mouth is really only about half that width. Our petition beseeches you to demonstrate the age of wisdom among us. by ensuring accurate information and protecting this very precious resource, including the protection of our people who make up the small communities. We love living here, and we want to share this great goodness with our citizens, all of you, and as an asset for tourists and visitors to our city. You have made a tremendous commitment by investing in Crown purchase of the land. Why ever would you not keep it safe and accessible for all? Our plea to you is to protect this site for future generations and for the sustainable use and enjoyment of the people of our city today. On behalf of our city at risk, we plead for the completion of the primary and secondary stop bank system on the Waimakariri River, from Stewart's Gully, around the Brooklands Lagoon to Spencer Park Beach. Our petition has the support here today of the Spencerville Residents Association, the Brooklands Consultation Group, ECAN people, and 98.5% of our whole community. Over to you, Jan.
Thank you. The Ministry of Environment classification of the Brooklands Lagoon is an estuarine environment subject to both marine, tide, wave, influx of saline water, and as a receiving environment for sedimentation. It is a riverine influences, e.g. the Waimakariri River, the Lower Styx River, and the coastal environment. It is clear our area and its communities, people's assets and environment needs an integrated planning and regulatory undertaking to manage the interconnected tidal water bodies of the Brooklands Lagoon, the Lower Styx River, the Waimakariri River, the coastal environment. There is a requirement for authorities responsible to work together in unison rather than as separate bodies for both intermediate and long-term futures to protect and enhance the biodiversity of the area, along with the consultation of those directly affected, the residents and the small communities of the area. We appeal to you to address the earthquake damage, the sea level rise, the climate change and the unsustainable catchment activities to ensure both short and long-term sustainable outcomes for all. The biodiversity of this area is unique and magnificent. We need to protect and enhance the environments, its people, assets and all living species. We need to do this urgently and collaboratively. Please end the uncertainty for our small communities, consult with the people, and respect all of the elements that can comprise this community within our city.
Our concern is now about saving your communities too. There's a much bigger picture to consider here. Our people are already experiencing the realities of climate change. This is exacerbated and events are becoming more frequent since our severe earthquake damage, which has still not been fairly dealt with. This abandonment has deeply affected our people's core values of well-being, socially, culturally, economically and environmentally. Visiting door to door throughout over half the homes in Brooklands and Spencerville, I became painfully aware of so many sad stories endured by so many residents for so long. Trust in authorities has been all but destroyed in our suburb, along with the promises of help which never eventuated after the earthquakes. CCC must act worthily in their positions to regain people's trust. Please come and have a look around for yourselves during flooding. Park your cars in a dry spot, put on your gumboots, walk around a bit, watch out for water flowing over your gumboots. Smell the stagnant water that has been allowed to accumulate for up to as much as 17 months. See the new plantings submerged and washed away. Feel the desolation of neglect. People's homes are inundated, and this is underreported. Hardly anyone believes anymore that any help will come. They're worried and anxious every time the rain starts, and all the more so when it continues all day and all night. They watch the red alert dates for king tides on their calendars. They are desperately concerned for their family's safety and their homes, which are under constant threat of damage and further devaluation. They lose far too much sleep which can severely and sadly affect their mental health. These people deserve encouragement and admiration, for they continue to illustrate bravely the intrinsic nature of small communities supporting one another, on which our nation was founded. Three Waters is planning to allocate millions of dollars throughout New Zealand, specifically for stop bank protection. Spend the money, finish the stop bank, and save our fabulous small settlements, and probably our city too. Having an incomplete stop bank is like locking the front door before going away, but leaving the back door wide open. Every wonderful thing you are achieving and working to achieve in Otautahi, Christchurch, will only become a heartbreaking waste of effort, time and money, with the Waimakariri and coastal waters given free rein. Please draw a line in the sand dunes, the natural line that is easy to follow, and finish the stop bank. If we continue trying to live in denial, we will end up trying to live in Dewaimak. Please don't let the worst of times win the day. Let this be for our city the age of wisdom, not the age of foolishness. This tale of two cities is no fairy tale, but we all want to live happily ever after. Mairangi kia papa, the land, the people, the spirit that binds. Thank you for accepting our petition. Please act on it today.
All right, look, thank you very much, and you've timed that perfectly to the actual, very point, so thank you for that. We have this item on the agenda today, and, I agreed to have this on the agenda today, even though it's going through a process through the community board, but we will be supporting the community board's intention to bring a report to the council once a relatively in-depth report involving ECAN obviously as well is in a position to be brought to the council. So thank you very much for your passion, your commitment, and thank you for everything this morning. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next deputation is for the Hornby Community Care Centre Trust. Bob Shearing, Chair, is speaking to item 12, future options, Hornby Library Building. Bob, and you're accompanied, I think that's by someone I know who's hiding behind a mask.
Linda Turner is the
Centre manager.
centre manager.
Lovely. Lovely
Just here to keep him in line.
Very good. You've got to do that with Bob Shearing, former councillor. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and councillors, and thank you for the opportunity to come and speak to you. I know we're pretty much all on the same page, but I will take this opportunity just to say a few words. I do want to thank Angus Smith and staff here for putting this report together. I've known Angus for a long time, and it's been good to work with him and get a satisfactory outcome. Obviously, we had a bit of a concern about a clause in the report, but I think you've got an amendment coming up that will take care of that, as I understand it. It originally says that we can't have any funding for 5 years from the council, but I think you've got that. So I'm going to assume that you're going to pass that for me, and then we'll go on from there. The community centre, of course, has always been a council come community project. 40 odd years ago, group of people, community got together with the then Paparoa Council and developed the site into what is a very valuable and well-known community facility in the area. The original trust had a position for representatives from 5 of the local churches, and 4 of them are still members of the trust. So that it's very much a community trust that runs the organisation. Councils also had, these days through the community board, had an appointee, and I originally got appointed to the trust as a council appointee when I was a community board member back in too long ago, in '97. I've been chairman also too long ago too, since 2000 or thereabouts. and this report coming to table has certainly been long coming. When we put in place the original funding for the Hornby Community Swimming Pool cum library back in 2008, I always saw that the library would come free, and a great opportunity for this trust to go ahead. Of course, it was supposed to have been built by 2013, but the wee little earthquake intervened, and I do thank Councillor Chen for continuing with the project to get the money in the budget and keep it there. And of course, we're going to have our new facility next year, middle of next year, and at that stage, hopefully the library will become free, and hopefully you, with the work we're going to do, we'll be able to take over and run our programs out of there. The Trust, as I say, is a small group of community-minded people. Everything we do comes out of community spirit. We were one of the first, I guess, before it was even fashionable, to be a social enterprise, and it always had an op shop operating in our part of the building to support our manager, and that still continues today. But room hire is certainly just in huge demand. You've got a list of some of the things that we do at council, at the centre, and photo there shows one of our community day market days out the front, and of course the library's on the other side there. But the centre is absolutely bulging in what we do, and the demand for social services in the centre of Hornby is huge. And I asked Linda to send me through last night a few of the things that are waiting. You may recall, or you may be aware, that government set up Heartland Service Centre in Hornby back in the early 2000s. Unfortunately, due to lack of space in the work and income building, that's had to close last year. And all the folk, all the NGOs that were using that as hot desks and an opportunity to meet the local people, just don't have anywhere to go. They're really pushing Linda for space there, and we're trying to do our best to keep as many of them possible, but it's just impossible. Sport Canterbury, Law Centre, Kingdom Resources, Budget Services, family planning, a whole list of people wanting space in Hornby to deliver to their clients in the area. And of course there's others that even our next speaker who's going to speak in our support, the Hornby Residents Association, are keen to set up a permanent room in the new space. Canterbury Malaysian Society, Tongan Youth Trust, all people looking for more space. So the demand is there, so we're looking forward to being able to accommodate them, but it doesn't come without challenges. And as you will have seen in the report, unfortunately, given the fact that the new centre was supposed to be in operations nearly 10 years ago, of course the building has not had any money spent on it, and you've got in your budget there in your report the budget of $300,000. That in itself is a huge challenge to overcome, and so that's going to require a lot of collaboration between all of us, council, local community, other funding agencies, but most of all council. And we have to accept that this is going to continue to be a community centre in Hornby, an important community centre in Hornby, and we need to make sure it happens. We've got this report is very much the start of the process. It's giving this trust, our trust, part owners in the building, the opportunity to be able to prove to you and to the community that we can come up with a system that's going to work. So it's very much the start, but that gives us that opportunity to do that, start doing that work, do some community consultation, see what we're actually going to put in there. Hopefully we can come up with another social enterprise that might make some money to be able to keep the building operating as well. But all that's for the future. This is the first stage, and so we really thank you for just having this in front of you now. We've got 8 months to really get this organised and put in front of you as something that's going to be viable going forward. So I think that's all I need to say. Perhaps if there's any questions, we can take them.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for the work that you're doing. Just to be clear, so the Hornby Centre, that was it part of the Heartland Heartland Services,
No.
and that's shut, is it? Or
That was operating out of the work and income building around the corner.
right? And is that now closed? Is what you're saying?
Yes.
And do you know why it's closed? If it's reopening, or is it just
No,
permanently closed?
It's full. It's wound up completely.
They just did not have room. Obviously, with the security arrangement they had there made it difficult for people to go into the place, of course, and with the increase in social services, they just ran out of space to be able to host the Heartland part of that.
Okay. So effectively, the demand's still there.
Absolutely.
There's just a lack of space, which is what this opportunity presents. Yeah. Okay.
Huge
Thank you.
demand.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the time.
Oh,
Not sure you can accept those, Mel.
bribe.
Kura koutou, Mayor and Councillors, and thank you for your granting of the Greater Hornby Residents Association to do a deputation today on the future of the Hornby Library building. I address you today as the chairperson of the Greater Hornby Residents Association, but it's through my contact in this role over 5 years that I've truly come to appreciate what an absolute gem in our community and a crucial service the Hornby Community Centre provide. They're incredibly well led by Linda Turner and her group of volunteers. Recently I was appointed as a trustee of the Hornby Community Centre, and I felt immense pride at what the centre has achieved in the past, continues to do and will do well into the future. You may be wondering why I handed out a glow stick to you all. Well, as the Residents Association has its first youth disco coming up this Friday, but it was through the Hornby Community Workers Monthly meeting held every month that the idea of the community disco became a reality. On one side I had a youth worker who runs a disco. On the other side at this monthly meeting I had the police. The guy said, I want to run a disco. The police said, we'll fund it. Bingo, we had a disco within about 2 minutes. The Community Workers Luncheon is just one example of the many ways in which the Community Centre provides the glue to hold the community together, and having different groups and organisations all working in the same positive direction for our community. The Greater Hornby Residents Association hold our weekly Thursday drop-in sessions at the Community Centre, and it is not uncommon for Linda to ring me from the Community Centre to see if we can change the room that we currently have, as she's under pressure to fit other groups in. Hornby has undergone significant population growth since the earthquakes, and this will only keep increasing as housing intensification hits our Hornby area. The increased population will see the community centre services and programs under more pressure, but also to increase the diversity of the programs we offer to ensure all ethnic groups are catered for. Significant growth is not restricted to population in our area, but also the modernisation of our facilities. Hornby High School, Hornby Primary, South Hornby School have either been rebuilt or refurbished in recent years. The Hornby Centre in Kyle Park is nearing completion, and much thanks to the councillors for keeping on track with that. The Hornby Club has recently been refurbished. The Hornby Hub and Dress Mart have undergone refurbishments as well. The Railway Yard Retail and Hospo Centre is currently being built where the old equestrian hotel used to be. And the Pebble Group this week announced that they have purchased the Brankston buildings to upgrade the Brankston buildings on the main South Road. So while $300,000 plus is needed to address delayed maintenance on the Hornby Library, we look forward to ongoing support from Council to allow us to secure additional funding from outside of Council to address this much needed maintenance as well. As a trustee, I am determined to see this building become a real gem again and be one of those modern buildings. The grand old lady deserves it. She served us well for 42 years, and there is a lot of life left in her yet. She just needs some love. The Hornby Community Centre has been around for 42 years. It has a formula that works, And this is our opportunity to have a community centre that is even bolder, bigger, better and brighter. If you just bear with me for one moment, I will prove to you that Hornby has talent. So as I say, this will allow us to have a bigger, brighter Hornby Community Centre. It will bring everything together in our community, allow us to have everything under one roof. So this proves that Hornby's got talent, that we can do this. We look forward to closing off the circle and having it all done. And we look forward to 17 yeses today.
Thank you. Did anyone have any questions for Mark? I don't think so. I think that's you wrapped it up nice. Oh, sorry, Celeste.
Sorry, great presentation. I just wondered where you got the glasses from.
The Warehouse Hornby actually through our community fund actually funded for the disco. So
Oh, it's
yeah.
brilliant.
But once again, and I just want to draw this attention for something I brought up in an earlier presentation on the annual plan. We got some off the ground funding for the disco as well, and it's also allowed the community to come behind with the DJ being paid for, with the product. So once again, it's that example of where the council puts that little bit of initial money in,
it's the
and we can
seed.
get a lot more done.
Yeah, it's the seed, and then you can grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you very
No,
much.
that's great. Thank you very much. Right. Okay. So that's the conclusion of public participation. There are